Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Hurley Investments Market View Commentary for Monday the 8th. This is the one where a couple people asked about talking about IRAs and running gold into IRAs or precious metals. And I really wish I could just explain to you that, well, let me just put it plain and simple. And I'll put it in my notes section really quickly. So let me scroll down. Boy, I got quite a bit in here. In fact, today's just going to be a sharing information with you day. So number one, gold, silver, copper will never be traded as a currency ever again. Anyone know why we will never be trading gold, silver, bartering, or exchanging those type of things as a currency? Anyone have a general idea on why we would never be doing that? And if you don't, take a wild guess. But why would we never be bartering gold or silver again in our lifetime? And if you don't know, just type a question mark in. Because it's difficult to spend. That's kind of a good idea. But it really comes down to supply and demand. There's just not enough of it. There's not enough of it for us to barter or use like it's been used in the past. That's why we ended up putting copper in coins, stopped using silver. There's just not enough for us to use as a currency. Okay. Number two. That's not going the way I want it. So let's get this bold just a little bigger, probably. All right, number two. Boy, that's still maybe not big enough, is it? I think I'd have this prepared and ready to go before we started. All right, number two. They are truly, over time, a really poor investment compared to the indexes. I mean, silver's high, it goes back to like $50. Haven't hit that in 20 years. And here's the number three. In a life or death, end of the world situation, would you exchange, I'm going to just call it life saving items for a precious metal? If everyone's worried about how bad our world can get, our dollar collapses, we no longer have a working government, a working economy, you know, blah, 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 blah. would you exchange food, guns, bullets, wood for heat, candles, gas? Would you exchange a life-saving item for a precious metal? The funny part is a lot of people use that, oh, it's the world's going to end, so that's why I need this precious metal. With all due respect, if the world's going to end, water, food sources, heating sources, lighting sources, energy will be so much more valuable than a precious metal. And if we're going to go back to a barter system, because the United States economy collapses, you're really going to barter for a precious metal versus something that's life-saving. The hypocrisy is absolutely unbelievable. But in tax-deferred plans, IRA, Roth, 401k, solo 401ks, defined benefit plans, a lot of people have talked about converting to a gold IRA. Now, really quickly, what happened when you converted an IRA to a Roth IRA? When you had that opportunity a bunch of years ago? Can anyone remember what was the process in converting an IRA to a Roth IRA? And if you don't know, go ahead and put a couple question marks in again. We kind of have a small group out here today. But what was the issue in that conversion? And someone just nailed it there. Correct. Paying taxes. If you're going to convert your IRA to a Roth, you had to pay some taxes on it. Had to pay the taxes on growth. Now they did what? They made it a flat 15% versus an earned income. I don't remember exactly what it was, but the short answer is you had to pay some taxes. So anytime you're looking and seeing some of these, I went primarily to the Secure Gold Bureau. Anytime you're seeing some of these opportunities here, hey, get a free consultation. You can buy gold, silver, and other precious metals within your retirement IRA, 401k, but you have to convert into a gold IRA. The funny part is most of these people, when you're converting, you're going to hold the real gold or silver. So what you're going to end up doing is you're going to pay them at a position to buy the gold or silver at $1 to $25 above spot rate. Spot rate is the exchange rate for it. And you're going to pay them to hold it. You're basically looking again at like the currency exchange. Hey, we're going to back your 401k IRA with real gold or silver. It'll cost you somewhere between 11 to 13% yearly. As I went through and I looked at some of these, I found it pretty interesting. Is a precious metals IRA legal? Absolutely. And the funny part about this is it's not in a traditional. It's not in a rollover. It's not in a 401k. What they mean about this is you can buy ETFs, you can buy indexes, you can buy miners. But purchasing gold and silver and platinum, entirely legal and it's done correctly, yeah, you use an index to do so. Is this IRA backed with real gold or silver? Our precious metals IRAs just don't have the backing. They consist of real real metal. You'll own physical gold, silver, coin, and bars, but you don't ever touch it. You have to store it with them at these prices. During the rollover process, you set up an account, transfer funds to an existing IRA. It's how many taxes you want to pay. Are there risks in owning precious metals? Of course there are. Look at a chart. It's really kind of ridiculous. Yes, you can roll over assets from existing IRA or previous 401k, or sometimes from your current employer's 401k. Your specialist will provide you the guidance based on your situation. Well, you got to cash it out. There is such thing as a precious metals IRA, and it's somewhat interesting the way that it's run. And I got to be honest with you, as I was looking through things, what garbage it is for people to try to be scared into some of these type of scenarios. I went through a bunch of Gold Bureau interesting just information. Pretty disappointing. It's nothing that's really important or helpful for you. They tell you the forms that you have to fill out, extra forms of taxes. It's a joke. It really is pretty pathetic. I like the article from Forbes. You can't hold physical precious metals in a regular individual retirement account. However, there are specially designed precious metal IRAs that let you invest for retirement using gold, palladium, silver, and other valuable metals. I put all the information here for you. All you have to do is look at a chart. All you have to do is look at a chart and decide if it's something that you want to do. Now, I know some of you said, Kevin, well, you're kind of killing me. I put some requirements. This is just going to be stuff for you to read. The short answer is, if you feel the need, can't spell, the need for precious metal protection, go buy the silver / gold. And I'd probably do it in that order. Why would I not be interested in gold? If you're going to trade and if money no longer matters to you, what is going to be worth $2,400? You're probably not getting change, right? So if you're not getting change, an ounce of gold would be very difficult. Well, Kevin, what if I did 1/10 of an ounce? $240 right now makes a little more sense for some things. But silver at $30 for an ounce, all those Hurley Investments silver coins that you guys have gotten over time, there's your little pocket stash. I'll be back to doing that this Christmas again. There's your stash of silver that might be all you'd ever need down the road. And in all honesty, my biggest suggestion, and you heard me say it in the past, prepare. Food storage. Maybe get a generator. Maybe have some chopped wood. Camping gear. There's some camping gear that's really good right now. Water purifiers. There's so many other things that if we went back to where people are trying to get scared to, there's so many other things that'll be so much more important than gold or silver. So any comments or questions to those people that were talking to me that I guess any questions you have that you'd like to ask me in regards to this. Comments just made. Ron Paul talks about gold on the radio, and he probably is getting paid to tell you to do that, and getting paid on a certain amount of people that will buy the gold from that individual. But again, I'm kind of using some logic here. Any questions or comments on the gold or silver? Some of you might have some questions on that. A great question. Here one just came in. I have a few coins. How do I cash them in? So again, there's two ways to do it. There are brokers for coins, brokers for silver. Pawn shops will give you money for them. But for example, the spot rate on silver right now, I'm going to pick it up off of my phone. Come on. The spot rate for silver is $31.15. So when I have them press silver into my coins at $31.15, I'll pay roughly an extra $3 for the silver and $2 for the service. So at a spot price of $31.16 here, I'm going to pay about $36.16 to make the coins for you. If I was to try to sell my coins that are pure silver, 0.999, even though I should be getting $31.16, that's the spot price. I usually get $1 or $2 less than that, as they need to turn it into cash or broker a currency transaction. So the short answer is, if I wanted to sell silver, even though it's at $31, I'd be lucky to get 29 and a half. If I wanted to buy it, even though it's at $31.15, I'd be about $3, somewhere between $2 to $3 higher. Again, most people though are saving cash, gold and silver. It's for the apocalypse. It's for when the government fails. It's again, for all the reasons that don't make sense why that would be important. In all honesty, if we ever got to that point, bullets and guns will be your most sacred commodity that you have available for you. Second's going to be food and water, and third will be the place that you live. Kevin, why would you put it in that order? I've seen the riots. I've seen what happens. It's nice to have food and water stored. It's nice to have a place to live. But if you can't protect it, you're in deep trouble. So that's the short answer there. All right, two more questions came in. With coins, sometimes the numeric value may be worth more than the gold or silver content. That is correct. There are some older coins. I do have some Walking Liberties that again are, the ones I have, I've got some that are early, so they're about $100 to $120 a piece. But again, we're saving this for the end of the world, right? But yes, very true. Bill just made a great comment. Sometimes the historical value of the coin or the rarity of the coin will give it a higher value. But again, if you're saving it for the end of the world and you're saving it to barter for food and things, I'm very sure you won't get the historical or the rarity. You'll get the cash value for the silver that it is. And so, yes, that is true. The comment was just made. Some states were fearful for the election, and some states have gone to spending money in their budget, something like 38 million in some states, to hoard or to start to collect necessity items, so that if we do have a pretty ugly type of election or handoff at the end, if it's close and just not an outright win, there is a fear of either side starting a revolution slash disrupting the logistics because of the results of the election. So yes, I spoke in the past. 30 days of food storage could be very important come November through December. And there are all kinds. You have Patriot Foods. I mean, there's all kinds of things you could do to be prepared. But, you know, if Trump wins in a landslide, maybe there won't be this rioting. If Biden wins by a little, we might go through the same thing we did last time. I will make the comment, and I agree. With enough guns and bullets, you're going to get what you want. I still don't know if you remember the pictures of that husband and wife where the gentleman in California stood outside his property with an AK-47 and the wife had some type of semi-automatic handgun. Notice how nobody challenged him. Even though they're riding and throwing rocks through windows, his property was protected. It was funny because the rioters called the police. There's a guy outside. He's got a gun and he's pointing it, which he wasn't. But what a benefit. All he was doing was protecting his place, and boom, the rioters left him alone, called the police on him, which was even better because now he had more protection for his own property. And boy, you can't beat that. That's what you're looking to see for people in general, right? All right, let's keep going. Number one, markets are somewhat toppy, would be the best way to say it. We have some toppy markets. Jim, you just came in. I went over IRAs and Roths and gold and so forth. I'll try to get this expedited to be on the website, My Hurley Investments, so I can go and review what was just said for the past 20 minutes or so. Dow Jones Industrial Average is no longer bearish. It is bullish. And it has some room to grow. But the S&P 500, we are overbought. Bullish and overbought. So this is the reason why you're not seeing companies take off, run to new highs. We're just at that level where we basically have run too far too fast, and we don't necessarily have the justification anymore with the fact that we're going to have some rate cuts. I don't know why people are still expecting 3 rate cuts. In July 31st of this month, we're going to have a rate meeting. The expectation is a 0% rate cut. People are thinking, I guess there's a 75% hope for a rate cut in September. They say they're non-biased, but it would not surprise me if we don't have a rate cut in September, but they talk about a rate cut in December. So that way there won't be a bias on the election or the Democratic Party going in, that they're trying to ease conditions to make the policies look better. But until we get to an earnings season, we are overbought. If you take a look at that little plus sign right here, that little plus sign is a doji, which means, 90% of the time there's a change in trend. Last 3 days we've been going higher. We have a base built, but if you look at most of the experts, they're calling for a pullback back down to that 53.20 range, which is the 50-day simple moving average. What this means is at earnings, not only are you going to have to beat top and bottom line, but you're going to have a better than expected forward guidance to continue to move your stock higher. With that said, really interesting percentage that was thrown out today, and I got this on CNBC. Wish I'd done a better job of having this prepared. All right, 21%. For crying out loud, why don't you just 21% of the S&P 500 have met or beat the index over the last 3 years, which means 79% are spring-loaded to move higher at the end of the AI bullish run. So few stocks have moved. On a weighted index, it goes down to like 4%. So I'm not sure, on equal index, it goes down to 4%. So I'm not sure how they're getting their numbers, but all this was said this morning on CNBC. That's my reference to it, that 79% of the stocks have not moved in conjunction with the markets. Part of this was getting over COVID. Part of this was the AI run. So there's a lot of opportunity on some stocks that haven't moved, especially with the amount of money that's supposedly sitting on the sidelines. Someone asked me, what's going to break this out? So the breakout could be rate cuts, worldwide rate cuts, ending of wars, election results. And we're already starting to see this in India, Mexico, France, Germany. There are a lot of things that the breakout could be attributed to coming in the future. So just some things to think about. Big picture, I already mentioned this, high expectations for second quarter earnings. You're going to have to be perfect on all fronts. Where did he say? And it's a reminder of how important these companies are in driving earnings expectations which drive the index. Those expectations are high for a good reason. If they're not to be messed with, or a pretty looking price trend for the market cap weighted S&P 500 would be upended. Earnings have to be perfect. That's where we're at. I've listed the earning dates here for you so that you'll have them. NASDAQ is also bullish and overbought. I was doing all this research for the gold and silver to make sure I didn't mess it up. Earnings. There are next to no earnings this week. As I was looking at earnings, it seems like they start on Thursday. Delta Airlines and Pepsi Company. On Friday, we have the start of the banks. Citigroup, Bank of Mellon, Fastenal, JP Morgan, and Wells Fargo Company. The second week of the banks will be next week. Economic reports, really it's all again towards the end of the week. Consumer credit, which I have not looked at. I need to go look at that. Wholesale inventories. Then on Thursday, Thursday's where it starts to matter again. We have CPI and we have core CPI numbers coming out along with the Treasury budget. I don't know if you have been noticing, but the Treasury budget expectation is a negative 347.1 billion. They are still running off a lot of those bonds that they were buying. On Friday, PPI, core PPI, and the Michigan sentiment. So really our markets will move on Thursday and Friday. The CPI is expected to grow by 0.1, the core by 0.2. If it meets or beats those lower, our markets are off to the races. PPI on Monday, 0.1, 0.1 for both the PPI and the core PPI. Again, if it beats, the markets will be off to the races. Off to the races on the false hope that we would have a September rate cut. I have a ton. Well, hold on. We are most letting stocks run. Right now, we had protection added because protection is cheap right now. Protection is really cheap. Apple is protected at highs. Bank of America is protected at slightly out of the money. And Ford is protected slightly in the money at $13. And I'm pretty sure Apple, boy, I want to say it was at 125. I think we protected Apple at 125. Pretty interesting because the Bank of America protection costs 2.5%. Apple costs like 2%. Ford's protection costs 4.5%. We're also looking at getting some other protection on, mostly on some tech stocks shortly, because protection is cheap right now. The VIX. The VIX seems low. We're going to take a quick look. Boy, I remember when the VIX used to be between 5 and 10. You could trade it like clockwork in that time period. If it went to fought a call, if it went to 10, you bought a put. It was that simple. Well, the low end of the range is closer to 12, but it hit that 50-day. Because of the VIX and the price of the VIX right now, we're looking to add some protection for some cheap rates. The bad news is you don't get much of a credit either right now. Short calls are not in demand. You mentioned in the beginning of the year, hey, it seems like February, March, April, you guys are doing more covered calls on some things. This chart explains it right here. Pretty neat when you can get a spike in volatility, be in that 18 to 21 range, couple day spike at that 16. Remember, there are times when the options lag a day or two. Great times where we had some better credits and we had some credits on with some short calls. Not the best time right now to be adding short calls. You add short calls or you're doing credit spreads, I'm going to politely say you're not getting paid enough for the risks that you're taking. If you are the options pirate, I'm going to say you're an idiot. My way of poking fun at real trades that are real in a paper trading account, but not a real account because he's not an advisor. Okay, information for you. I have a ton of information for you. This was the Inside Out. It's the first minute 2024 to top $1 billion. And it is Disney. And Disney is getting no love. It's back down testing the lows for the year, which are at $96. It's currently trading at $97.37 is where it closed today, but it's testing those lows again. To be honest with you, Baidu is doing the same thing. Baidu is testing that $86.70 to $88, 88 and a quarter lows, and it said, well, it's at $87.95. So, couple stocks not getting the love that they should. Millennials are very ill prepared to be the chess generation in history, to be the richest, the richest generation in history, the wealth manager says. A very interesting article. Again, this is an article that if you're curious about trusts, please give me a call. In all honesty, living trusts are a great way to protect your money and have it spent the way you want it, even when you're gone. If you have a bunch of money to leave to someone, instead of having it get wasted, oh, they'll never waste it. To make sure they never waste it, put it in a legacy trust where it can get traded for the next 20 years, and every year 5% comes out to them. And you can make it a 20-year trust, you know, where, you know, when you die, they get 10% and 5% till the 10-year mark, and then they get 20% of what's left, and 10 more years at 5%, and then they get what's at the end. It's a legacy. You'll be helping someone out for 20, 21 years versus 1 year. And as it is, you know, I don't know what the exact number is, but whatever percent blows through all that money and has nothing left or is filing bankruptcy, and 2 to 5 years after they hit it big. Protect against it. Give yourself a legacy trust. If you read through this article, you'll find out how ill-prepared people think, well, the older generation thinks the younger generation is. Collapsed Bitcoin exchange. They only unloaded 9 billion worth of coins. I found it interesting because people are talking about less than 60 days ago. Oh, it's going to go to 150,000. It's going to hit 100,000 this year. Well, read an article at the risk of tokens and coins. It's kind of a joke. It's ridiculous. Think twice before investing your good money into something like this. All right. Really interesting. What the immunity means for Trump's on his official acts. Please read through this to better understand what the Supreme Court just ruled on. And really the best way to describe it, even if you hate Trump, so we're just going to go to presidents, if you act in an official manner of being a president, you're not liable for other people's outcomes. Well, that's garbage, Kevin. He incited a riot. Well, in that case, Biden incited a riot and killed 13 of our soldiers and thousands of Afghanis over in Afghanistan. You want to try Trump for this? Make sure it works both ways. Make sure you go and you try Biden for the same thing. Oh, he had official documents at his place. Biden had 4 times as much. Again, if you're going to set the rules, make sure it goes both ways. It can't be a rule for a time. It has to be a rule for everyone, not just a certain time period. So, brilliant. If you want to read through the 600 pages of the ruling, it's common sense, but it's brilliant. It's protecting people from attacking the office versus the person. Bill, I agree 100%. All right, here we go. Another article. I found it pretty interesting how the Democratic Party is doing a horrible job of rallying around their candidate. It used to be the Democratic Party seemed to do a great job of it, better than the Republicans. Obviously, over time, things have switched. The comment was made, is he going to drop out, and will Michelle Obama jump in or someone else? Probably not. That would kind of be certain death because there's not enough time. But until they figure it out, it's not going to be figured out. A very interesting article. All of a sudden this week or last week, it comes out the S&P's moved too far. Could the S&P tumble 30%? Of course it could. I think I went through this a couple weeks ago. And just understand that as we run so far, so fast, without all the justifications of earnings, with PE ratios getting extended, there's going to be some naysayers. And then, is there a semiconductor for better artificial intelligence by than NVIDIA right now? Yes, it is, and it's Micron. Please read through the article. It really comes down to, and they go through 4 different stocks here, but it really comes down to, given Micron Technology is trading at 19 times forward earnings, which is a massive discount to NVIDIA's forward earnings multiple of 48, it looks like a no-brainer AI stock to buy right now, as not just significantly cheaper, but also has a potential to outperform its illustrious peer. So a lot of you have asked about Micron, why we're in it. This is why. Please read through the numbers. With that said, is there any questions you guys have for me today? Any questions that I can answer for you guys today? And not that there has to be, but if any of you have a question that you'd like me to try to answer or a comment on anything I've said today, please fire away. Otherwise, guys, I appreciate you being here. I hope this was helpful. I'm really just sending a lot of information your way today. In general, traditional IRAs, 401ks, Roths, defined benefits plans cannot hold gold or silver. If you want a specially denying gold or silver, you usually have to convert, which means pay your taxes on your current one, and then they'll create a typical gold or silver. The problem with it costs you 8 to 11 to maybe 13% for them to store and hold this gold and silver for you. So with that said, guys, have a wonderful evening. I look forward to seeing you guys next week, and please enjoy your summer. It's a beautiful time right now. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.